the various buildings, bridges, pressure vessels, ships and even aerospace equipment. In the process of manufacturing, more than 80% of the parts are assembled by welding. Because of their size, they have limitations in turning over, especially when welding the outer plate. Nearly half of the welding work needs to be completed by vertical welding. Today we will learn CO2 gas shielded welding plate butt vertical welding. Learning objectives. 1. Understand the characteristics of butt vertical welding of CO2 gas shielded welded plates. 2. Master the technical requirements and operation techniques of butt vertical welding of CO2 gas shielded welded plates. 3. Select welding parameters. Please watch the animation on my right side. It is not difficult to see that since vertical welding is performed perpendicular to the horizontal plane, students, think about it. What defects are prone to occur in the welding process? Yes, it's easy to occur the phenomena of welding bumps, undercuts, burn-through and others. Next, take a steel plate with a thickness of 12 mm as an example to explain the vertical welding operation of CO2 gas shielded welding. Please read the workpiece pattern. Complete the weldment production task, and meet the technical requirements of the workpiece pattern. The welding operation is divided into 3 layers: the bottom layer, the filling layer and the cover layer. Please follow along with my video to learn. Step 1. Before welding. The equipment required for welding are CO2 gas shielded welding semi-automatic welding machine, flux cord welding wire, CO2 gas, and ceramic gasket. Auxiliary tools and measures include angle grinder, wire brush, slag hammer, and universal gauge for welds. Labor protection equipment includes head-mounted mask, work clothes, gloves, protective shoes. Step 2. Assembly and positioning. 2 steel plates with a thickness of 12 mm are made with a V-shaped groove. The groove angle is 60, and the blunt edge is 1 mm. Use an angle grinder to clean the groove surfaces on both sides of the steel plate, as well as oil and rust within 20 to 30 mm of the groove edge. And place the ceramic liner in the center of the back of the weld. The assembly clearance of the start welding end is 4 mm, and the end welding end is 5 mm. Tack welding is performed on both ends of the steel plate, and the length of the tack weld is 10 to 15 mm. The ceramic backing is then fixed to the back of the weld, and the anti-deformation is prefabricated at the same time. The amount of inverse deformation is 3-5. Step 3. Welding operation. The welding operation is divided into 3 layers: the bottom layer, the filling layer, and the cover layer welding. Bottom layer welding. Fix the assembled steel plate vertically, and use a small current to weld from bottom to top. Start the arc at the lower end of the test plate. When starting the arc, the welding wire should be stretched to the blunt edge of the groove and swing left and right at the root of the groove. The upward inclination angle of the welding torch is 75-85. The angle between the welding torch and the weldment is 90, and the welding torch adopts the zigzag horizontal swing arc operation method. When welding, pay attention to holding the gun steadily, and the welding speed should be uniform. After welding to the top end of the steel plate and ending the arc, the welding torch must be removed after the arc is extinguished and the molten pool is completely solidified. Filling layer welding. Use a slag hammer and wire brush to clean the welding spatter and welding slag on the surface of the bottom bead and groove. When welding, also swing laterally from bottom to top along the center of the weld. However, the included angle of the welding torch has been changed, and the included angle of the down tilt has been changed to 75–85. The angle between the welding torch and the weldment and the wire feeding method of the welding torch remain unchanged. The lateral swing of the welding torch is slightly larger than that when welding the bottom bead, and the arc should stop for a while at the edge of the bottom layer to ensure good fusion on both sides of the weld bead. Pay attention to filling the crater when closing the arc. Filler welds should be 1 to 2 mm lower than the base metal surface. Cover layer welding. The operation mode of cover layer welding and filler layer welding is basically the same. The slight change is that the welding torch should swing to 0.5 to 1 mm at the edge of the groove. The welding speed should be stable and the wire should be evenly transported. The shape of the weld will be neat and beautiful. Weld to the top end of the arc, and pay attention to filling the arc crater when the arc is closed. At the end of welding, the excess height of the weld should be between 0 to 3 mm, and the width of the weld should be slightly wider than the groove, but not more than 2.5 mm on each side. Through the operation video just now, we got the following skills. 1. Use small current and short-circuit transition welding during welding. The molten pool is small, and the molten metal is not easy to flow down. 2. The zigzag of the welding torch swings evenly to prevent the occurrence of undercut. 3. Welding before welding. Add a ceramic liner on the back of the weld to prevent burn-through. 4. Pay attention to the angle of the welding torch for each layer of welding bead. That's all for this class. Thank you for watching.